One question I get asked a lot is, why beef? Why is beef the favored meat of people eating a carnivore diet? Why not fish? Why not chicken? Why not pork? In this video, we're going to dig into why exactly beef is the meat of choice. So first, let's talk about beef. Cows are ruminant animals. Other examples of ruminant animals are things such as sheep, goat, deer, basically things that graze. So what does this mean exactly? Ruminant animals have a 4-chambered stomach. They ferment food in their stomach before digesting it. This fermentation breaks down the complex carbs and allows the animal to utilize them. So it sounds pretty gross, but pretty much the animals what doesn't get absorbed the first time around, nutrition-wise, gets regurgitated, they chew it up again, break it down even further, and then they're able to absorb even more of it. So basically this process just makes the nutrients in plants more bioavailable for the animal eating them, and this nutrition gets passed on to us when we eat the meat. So this leads into the first reason that beef tends to be favored on a carnivore diet, and that is because it's very nutritious. And I think that because it is so nutritious, it makes us feel really, really good when we eat it. So let's break down some of the nutrients it's high in and why that might make our bodies feel good. Beef is one of the best sources of B12. It beats out pretty much every other animal. B12 plays a vital role in helping the body produce red blood cells. When red blood cells are low in the body, that's when you become anemic and you become weak, tired, fatigued. And although all animal products do contain B12, beef contains it in a higher amount. So beef is also really high in iron. There are 2 types of iron, heme iron and non-heme iron. Meat contains both of these, while plants only contain non-heme iron. So the difference being that heme iron is just more easily absorbed by the body. Beef is also a really good source of zinc. Zinc is present in all of the cells in our body. It is necessary for the activity of over 300 enzymes that aid in things such as metabolism, digestion, nerve function, and many other processes. Beef is also a really good source of selenium. Selenium works with iodine to maintain thyroid health. It is needed to produce a critical thyroid hormone called T3, which is extremely important in regulating our metabolism. Some of the symptoms of a selenium deficiency are things such as a weakened immune system, fatigue, mental fog, mental weakness. So having a good amount of it in the diet just means you're gonna feel really, really good. Niacin or vitamin B3 is another nutrient that beef is really high in. Symptoms of deficiency are very similar to those that come along with selenium deficiencies, so things such as brain fog and just weakness. And the one last nutrient I wanted to talk about was CLA. So if you aren't familiar with CLA, it's actually a fatty acid and it's actually a trans fat. Yes, you heard me correctly, but there is a huge difference between natural trans fats and man-made trans fats. There are numerous studies showing the benefits of CLA in the diet. It is highly associated with better health, lower rates of heart disease, and other diseases. CLA is only found in the meat of ruminant animals as well as their associated dairy products. So I think it's fair to say that because it is so highly associated with better health, that having more of it in your diet is gonna make you feel better. Beef has a really good ratio of fat to protein. It's really important that you're getting enough fat in on a low or no carb diet because it's basically what fuels our body. Humans have 2 energy sources they can tap into. They can use glucose, which is carbs, or they can use fat. Now, if you're limiting or avoiding carbs completely, as you are on a carnivore diet, you really need to make sure that you're getting enough fat. Otherwise, yeah, you're just not gonna have any energy. So wild ruminant animals such as deer and goats, they tend to be pretty lean. And other animals that aren't ruminants, like fish and chicken, same thing, pretty lean, not a lot of fat on them. Beef also has a pretty good ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. Now, I talk a lot about this, how it's pretty important to keep it in balance, and there's two reasons why this is. One of them actually isn't as important when you're on a carnivore diet, and I'll explain why. So the first reason you want to keep them in balance is that both of them use the same pathway to be converted. We need to convert them in order for our bodies to use them. So if you're getting too many omega-6s, then not many omega-3s are going to be converted. Now, the reason I say that this doesn't matter as much on a carnivore diet is because if you are getting your omega-3s from animal foods, they are already pre-converted. So this conversion pathway isn't really a concern. The second reason though is that too many omega-6s actually cause inflammation. So compared to other types of meat such as pork and chicken, the omega-3s and omega-6s in beef are a little bit more balanced. Omega-3s are higher in grass-fed animals than they are in grain-fed ones. But even with the grain-fed, the ratio is still better than it is for chicken and pork. So I think because they do have a better ratio, this leads to less inflammation, this leads to people feeling better. And just a quick side note, I don't want to completely turn you off eating all chicken, all pork, but this is just one of the reasons why people favor beef over some of these other types of meat. Beef is everywhere, and it's pretty easy and pretty affordable to buy good quality, compared to other types of meat at least. I don't know if you've ever bought an organic free-range chicken, but they are expensive. When you compare quality chicken or pork to quality beef, yeah, the beef is less expensive. It is also pretty easy to buy beef in bulk. You can buy a quarter, a half, a whole cow, and you are getting so much meat. If you buy a whole chicken, that's food for maybe a day. So I just wanted to finish this off by doing a bit of a recap, just touching on the pros and cons of other types of meat. So starting with chicken, it has a pretty poor omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. That's probably its main downfall. Also, it's pretty lean, but some of the benefits of it is one of the highest foods in copper and also one of the highest foods in riboflavin. And then with pork, again, it has a not so great omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, but looking at the good, it's a pretty good source of B6. It's also one of the best sources of thiamine and one of the best sources of selenium. It actually tops beef in terms of selenium. Lamb is actually pretty comparable to beef. It's a really good source of zinc, magnesium, and phosphorus. Salmon, I think the main issue is that it's not as available as beef is. I know in Australia at least, there is only farmed salmon. You really can't buy wild salmon. It's not native here, I think. That's the main reason, so it makes sense. But a bit of a bummer if you like salmon. Salmon does have a great omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, but salmon is a really, really good source of vitamin D and E, also vitamin B6 and iodine. And then we have eggs. I think eggs are absolutely fantastic. I have another video that is talking about my top 5 superfoods, and not to spoil it, but eggs is on there. They are a really good source of riboflavin, vitamin B5, biotin, folate, and they're one of the best sources of vitamin K2. One of the downsides though is the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. It does vary, again, depending on what the chickens were fed. And although they are pretty high in iron, all of the iron in eggs is non-heme iron, so not as easy to absorb. Alright guys, so thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful and kind of cleared up why a lot of people on carnivore diets favor beef over other types of meat. If there's any reasons I missed, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!